welcome everybody to the live stream series brought to you by the Culture Works. I'm Chester Elton, and this is my wonderful co-author and dear friend who just got back from the dentist. So Adrian Gostick, wave to the crowd. Hey, as we do, we're going to take about 15 minutes of your day. So we really appreciate those of you that are tuning in to talk about some of the great. That's my phone, which I need to turn off here. Where we talk about really important things in the workplace to help you be a better leader, be a better teammate, create that great all-in culture. And Adrian, I love your latest article that you've written for Forbes. And if you're not following Adrian on Forbes, you should be, on how you get ready for that big interview, that big next job. And it requires you to be thoughtful. Now, it's so interesting that it seems like that would be so easy for you to point out. Be prepared. And yet so often we get caught up in stuff and we think, well, they've read my resume. They kind of know me, whether it's internal or external. But you talk about this thoughtful approach and expound on that a little more. What are some of the things that people need to do to really get ready for that?
Well, thanks. Yeah, Chess. And Natalie will put the link to the article in the comments here, because this is an important thing that you and I, we do a lot of executive coaching. So, for example, we'll work with a lot of middle managers who want to make it to the C-suite, or somebody who's in the C-suite who wants to become CEO. So, we do a lot of this work. And the first thing that we ask people to do is some self-assessment.
Right.
Really think about the skills you have, but more importantly, Chess, what are your gaps, right? Like, where do you need to make the leap? One manager I was coaching, he just needed to be more comfortable around senior leaders. He was just so stiff around people of authority, and it showed. Another executive we were working with, she needed to improve her grasp of Wall Street. Had great operational skills, but really had never worked with Wall Street. Well, you can't become a CEO if people don't, the board doesn't trust you to work with Wall Street. So I'm curious, you work with a lot of executives and a lot of managers wanting to make the leap. What do you see as some leaps that people, kind of that self-assessment, maybe people don't see in themselves that they need to improve on?
It's so funny that you asked me this, because a good friend of ours actually called me just yesterday, and or the day before. They all blur together. Anyway, getting ready to make a major move.
Yeah.
And when you talk about this self-assessment, I think one of the important things here is, what is your tolerance for risk and disappointment? And, what is it that you really want?
Yeah.
From that? And I'll tell you what's really interesting, and you and I talk about a lot about this in our book, Anxiety at Work, is you get a lot of the duck syndrome, or the, your self-doubt, right? And there was a lot of self-doubt there. And it was kind of interesting. I remember telling him, I said, now listen, you really want this job, and I think it's a great fit for you. And you're trying to think, well, the imposter syndrome. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And I said, you know what? It was really funny. I said, I want you to take a piece of paper, and I want you to write this on the piece of paper. And whenever you start having those doubts, pull it out. And it says, never forget that you are frickin' John Doe. I mean,
yeah.
This idea that as you go in, this self-assessment is, be confident in your skills and who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think then you present your better self to that. And when you say self-assessment, literally that's the first thing that came to mind.
Well, that's great.
Feel good about yourself. And if it happens, great. And if it doesn't happen, that's not an indictment that you'll never get a good job again.
And I love where you're going with this, that idea of, what do you really want? I wrote down those questions because they're so great. What do you want? And what's your tolerance for risk? Because sometimes we'll be working with somebody who says, I want to become a director. I want to become a vice president. We say, great. Well, why?
Right.
Well, I want the bigger job. Is it okay? So are you really motivated by leading teams of teams? Are you really motivated by being a district manager and going to all these other areas? Well, no, I really don't want that much travel. Or I really don't want this or this. But so why do you really want the job? And as we start digging, they'll kind of go, gee, that's a really good question. I haven't really thought much about my motivation. I just want to win the job. I want to be the big guy because I don't want to be, passed over. And sometimes it's just not the right thing for you.
Yeah. How often have we talked to people and said, I got the job, and then I realized that I really didn't want the job. I do like your idea too. What are your short and long-term goals?
Yeah.
I mean, where do you want, it to go. Often, and I've talked about it's not so much a corporate ladder anymore as it's a corporate rock wall or it's a lattice.
Yeah.
You may actually take a lateral move because it gives you an opportunity to grow and develop the skills that you want to develop. So having that, and it's never crystal clear because things do change and so on. But this idea of where do I want to go and is this going to get me there? And in your article, I think you really point out that it's important to look at short-term and long-term.
Yeah.
Maybe I will take this job that has a lot of travel short-term.
Yeah.
If my kids get older, though, I want to be home.
Mm-hmm.
Or the opposite. My kids are older now. I can travel more, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I mean, you and we met 25 years ago now, 1999. Yeah. And I remember, when we were for one of our first conversations together, I remember maybe I was asking you if you'd want to be in sales leadership, for the firm we were working with. And you went, why would I want to do that? That's a horrible job. And it was sort of shocking to me. I thought everybody wanted to move up the ladder. Everybody is like, no, I wouldn't enjoy that. And so, what really is motivating to us? And then to decide, the next kind of idea in here is then build a brand around who you are. Who are you at your core? What's your values? What's your mission? So you can present that to potential employers. If you want to be a leader of leaders, wonderful, then present that. But if you want to be the best salesperson or the best IT, architect for systems or whatever you want to be, well, then define who you are so you can present yourself better.
Yeah, and this personal brand. What are you known for?
Yeah.
You're the creative one. You're the out of the box thinker. You're the innovative one. You're the collaborating, and really drive that home. It's so fun. I love when people jump in. We've got Daisy St. Rose from St. Lucia. Did I say that right? You've
St. Lucia. Yeah.
St. Lucia, and we've got Kartik. I'm terrible at these names. Kartik. And we've got some friends from Pennsylvania. We've got friends from Oregon. Felix from Chile. And it is kind of interesting. So for all of you that are there, if someone asks you what's your personal brand, could you tell them?
Yeah.
What are you known for? And by the way, there's good brands and there's bad brands, right? Woodbridge, Connecticut, right? You don't want to have the brand that says they're difficult,
And then sometimes, I'm a perfectionist. We used to think that was a good brand. We've realized that's a terrible brand to say that you are because you're then difficult to work with. Maybe you don't get things done because you're so afraid it's not perfect.
Well, and here's the thing, and I've got this fun little test. Think about your caller ID test. So your phone rings or you get a text and you see that name. What's your first reaction? What's your first reaction? Is it, oh boy, I get to talk to Daisy, right? Or is it, crap, I've got to talk to Chester? It's really interesting to me that it's so much a part of people's visceral reaction to you. Is it positive? Is it negative?
Yeah.
And it's so funny, when Adrian's name pops up on my phone, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. We've been working together for 25 years. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be engaging. We've got lots of fun projects going. So your personal brand. Now, you talk about one of the important things is positioning yourself, and are you a good networker?
I'm probably the best at this. You're not as good, Chess. I understand, but okay, I'm being obviously facetious here. Chester is probably the best networker in the world. He'll get back from a flight, by the way, and he'll land and he'll call me and he says, I just met the most amazing person on the plane. I was like, you talk to people on the plane? What?
Yeah, I make them take off their headphones. I go, by the way,
hey, wake up.
You're sitting next to a really interesting person. You're gonna wanna talk to me.
And you taught me this when we were back in our corporate days. You said, look, go have lunch with new people every couple of days. I was like, why? Why would I do that? It's because you're going to build relationships. And it was good for me, to break out and actually do that. So some of us who are more introverted, we have to break out of our comfort zones and actually do this. Go to conferences, join a board, do things that you can meet other people. And that really will pay off.
Absolutely. Ms. Misra, well, I love that name, by the way. Mohit Misra, one of our dear friends, same last name. She asked the question, how do we understand our brand? And I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
And in your network, I would ask people,
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
hey, I know what I think I am. I think I know my brand. But what do you like when we're in meetings and stuff? What's the perception? I remember you gave me some great advice one time. Adrian was in our corporate office, and I'm out in New Jersey, and I would fly in, and I'd have all these great ideas and everything. And you said, you got to be careful because when you come into a meeting, because you don't have much time, you kind of dominate, and sometimes you make people feel stupid. Like, this is so obvious to me. Why don't you get it? And I thought, he's right. And that's not who I think I am. I don't think I call people out and say, I don't get why you get it. What are you, stupid? Um, and yet we can, in our enthusiasm for something, we can trample people, and that's not a good thing. So I think, Jyothi, ask people around, what do you think my brand is? And I think that would be really helpful. But in this networking, it's really interesting. Get to know people in other parts of your business. Like go talk to somebody in accounts receivable. Go talk to somebody in product development. Go talk to the marketing people or the salespeople, whatever it is, and get that sense of where it is you fit and what you can do. Because Manal is asking a great question. How do you position yourself if you're not at the office?
Yeah.
That was my thing. When you are in the office, take time. I'm a big fan of grab a coffee, grab lunch, grab dinner, grab breakfast. And if you're never there, set up a Zoom call and say, hey, can I grab 15 minutes? I've got an idea I'd like to run by you.
Absolutely. That idea of the coffee break with somebody or staying around the water cooler can still be done hybrid. It's just harder. You have to make the effort to pick up the phone, call somebody, or to, as you say, set up, hey, do you have 15 minutes today? Look, this is a 15 minutes. Look how much we've shared already.
Yeah.
Done in 15
minutes.
One
other thing before we ask you to wrap up, because we only got 2 minutes, but I love this. LinkedIn user says, use the 3-foot rule. If they're within 3 feet, talk to them. I was at a concert, Bruce Springsteen. There were 40,000 people there. And there were like 100 people within 3 feet of me.
I can see you, though, talking to him. Hey, how's it going? Yeah.
That's a challenge. We are at our time. I should talk about this in your wrap up. What would be like 2 things you'd want people to remember? And by the way, the link is to the article. Please read it.
Yeah.
It's great. What would you want to walk away with?
Yeah, that's a great kind of summation here. Let's think, first off, if you really want the next big job, you want a promotion, then what I find, and you probably bump into this too, is we get so focused on our current jobs, pleasing our current boss, that we don't even spend an hour a week on that next thing. So if you really want that next thing, you've got to be ready for that. Just 1 hour a week, study for it, read for it, take a class, meet with other people in the industry that have that job, do something, at least 1 hour a week, getting yourself ready for that big job. And then when the time comes, look, be ready, do your research. Don't go cold into the organization. Actually know about them, their challenges, their accomplishments, and how your values fit in with what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, great advice. I had a friend who was going in for a Wall Street job, and my buddy said, tell him to know exactly where the markets are today, because that's going to be the first question. Is if you don't know where the markets are, how can you work here? And lastly is be curious. We talk about this all the time on your career journey, your leadership journey. Be curious. Grab a great book on Audible or off the shelf. Read at least one good book a month that's going to make you a better leader and make you a better person. And what book should that be, Adrian?
I would say Anxiety at Work is a great one. That was just right by me here. Leading with Gratitude.
Leading with Gratitude, our new gratitude journal.
Yeah.
Listen, it's always great fun to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your comments and that you gave us your time. The CultureWorks live stream series is all about little things that you can do to make yourself a better coworker, a better leader, better at whatever it is you do, because it will ripple through into your personal lives. These wonderful good practices create great relationships on the personal side too. And a big shout out to Natalie, who is our producer in the background there that makes the magic happen. Take care. Have a great weekend. We almost forgot. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
See you.